Marketing hack. Make them aware of their problem. Episode 90. Are you ready to make your law firm a profit-generating machine that will free up your time and skyrocket your impact? With more than 2 decades of business growth experience and having proven that you can be successful while prioritizing your family and your impact, introducing the Profit with Law podcast. I am your host, the creator of the Firm Differentiator 10X Effect, Moshe Amsel. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Profit with Law. I am your host, Moshe Amsel, and today I want to start a discussion that's based off of feedback that I received during the COVID live stream series. And what's interesting is that, and I think I mentioned this perhaps on a couple of the intros to those live series, but what's interesting is that in almost every single live stream at the Q&A section, the questions that came in led us back to the conversation about marketing, particularly how to get clients today, how to get clients in the current market, current conditions with the COVID pandemic and people staying home. And it was an eye-opener to me. Now, I know that everybody always needs clients. Everybody's always looking for the next golden nugget, the next solution on how to get clients. I get that. But it was eye-opening to me that this is such a needed topic that I have decided to embark on a project that I'm not going to share with you today. I'm just going to kind of tease you about it. But most likely by next Tuesday, when you hear the episode, my solo episode next week, I'll be ready to let you in on that secret, let you know what I'm doing, what we're up to, and what we're doing. But I am working on a project that is going to help anybody who is doing their own marketing or is doing marketing right now that is not necessarily strategic on the internet. So if you want to generate more clients, generate clients on demand, generate clients that you can predict will be coming in, then you definitely want to tune in next week to the episode that we do. So hopefully I'll be ready to make that announcement then. But just know that this is something that I am working on diligently here. I've got my staff on it, and we're really burning the midnight oil, so to speak, on putting together something for you that is going to be amazing. So can't wait to share that with you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the stage. I'm going to start the conversation today with giving you some input on a topic that I think is really important when you're looking at your marketing conversation, when you're looking at what it is that you're doing to get in front of your audience. It's extremely important that you get this part right. This is an integral piece, and if you don't get this part right, then everything else that you do is essentially wasted effort. And that's why I think it's important for us to have this discussion today. So what am I talking about? So if you go back to episode 21, I talked about your why. I talked about the motivation behind your law firm, getting really clear on that. And then in episode 59, we talked about who is your ideal client, who is it that you serve. And in episode 29, we talked about why choosing a niche will skyrocket your firm. If you take those 3 pieces of information, it leads you to a point where you have clarity on who you're serving. You've narrowed down the target market. And what I want to focus on today is, okay, now what? So just to recap really quick, for those of you who are not pausing right now and going to listen to those 3 episodes that I just shared, when you go out into the marketplace with a message, you can just use a shotgun approach and blast your, information out there and hope that the people that you're looking for are going to find you. Or you can go out there and talk to people as if they are your target market. And if they are, if they hear your message and they resonate and they say, that is me, that they're talking directly to me, that will draw your clients in, that will draw your market in. And at the same time, it will push away the people who are not your perfect clients, the people who you don't want. And it is a far more efficient way to market. It is much cheaper. It's going to give you better results, and it's going to increase the customer experience both for you and your client. In other words, by attracting less of the people you don't want, you're going to make less mistakes in agreeing to represent clients that are not your ideal market, that are not your ideal client. You'll avoid doing work that you don't like doing. But here we're talking about marketing. So we're not talking about the operations and all the benefits that you can, if you listen to Why Choosing a Niche Will Skyrocket Your Firm, you'll see that there's two main components. One is the marketing and the other is operationally. But let's just focus on the marketing side. So if you are crystal clear on who you're talking to, you know where to find them, so you know where to have this conversation with them. It might not be like, some people are like, oh, should I do Google PPC? Should I do SEO? Should I do Facebook ads? Should I do Google ads? All these different options. Actually, PPC and Google ads are the same thing. All these options in front of you, and how do you choose? Well, the truth is that you choose by where your target market is. If they're not searching on Google for something related to your service, putting money into PPC ads is a waste of time and a waste of money, because it's going to attract people who are not your people. Your people are not there searching on Google. But if your people are hanging out on Instagram, then running Instagram ads makes perfect sense. So you need to know where your people are hanging out. You need to know where they are so that you can come to them, come into their world, and introduce them to your world, to a topic that they may or may not be thinking about, and share the idea with them, share the problem with them, and let them know that there's a solution. So what I want to talk about today is your client's journey, because understanding your client's journey is going to help you understand the marketing that you need to do for finding and attracting that perfect ideal client. So what is the client's journey? What am I talking about? Well, the client's journey is simply what happens when they go from a place of being in pain, having a problem that is bothering them, to the point where that problem is solved and they are in this perfect happy state. So if you can think about your perfect ideal client and think about the problem that they have that you are able to help them solve, and really identify what that problem is, and then take it to the point where there is a solution for them, that this is resolved and they are happy. Now, if you can adequately identify the painful state at the beginning and the happy state at the end, and you have those 2 points, your job is now to cross the line. Basically, what is the fastest way to get from point A to point B? It's a straight line. So you have to figure out the straightest possible line, the straightest possible journey for your ideal client to take to get from that point of being in pain to that point where their pain is solved, where the solution has been provided. And that client's journey, what you do for them in that process, is where your services lie. That's where what you do lies. And what you're going to find when you go through this exercise is you're going to find something interesting. And that is that there are pieces of your client's journey that are currently being left unmet. When you provide your service to somebody, most likely that is it's a key piece of the puzzle, but most likely it's only one piece of the puzzle. Most likely they are left to figure a bunch of pieces out at the beginning before they meet you. And most likely, even after you're done with them, there's a ton of other pieces that they need to figure out before they can reach that happy state. And this is why there's so much potential in the legal space. This is why there's no time like the present to really figure this out, hone in on it, and learn it and do it well, because so many firms are doing it wrong that there's so much opportunity just from understanding this one concept. And this is where I've talked about in multiple formats on the COVID live stream series, at the Law Firm Growth Summit, here on the podcast, that all over the place. I'm beating a drum about a new way for firm owners to look at their business model and understand that you have information. You have done years of studying, years of understanding the law, understanding what somebody needs to do to fix that problem. You have information that your clients seek. And I'm not talking about where you're going to help them figure out how to do it themselves so that they don't need to use you. But what I am telling you is that there's plenty of room for you to provide that information in a free format where they are giving you their information, their contact information for that, and to provide it in a paid format where you're selling your information before, during, and after your service engagement with them. When somebody is dealing with a divorce, or somebody is dealing with a bankruptcy, or somebody is dealing with criminal charges, there are events that happen leading up to the point where they are desperately looking for the services part of your business. There are events that lead up to the point. Take the person who's going through a divorce. There's a sequence of events that happens leading up to the point where they're like, okay, I'm getting divorced. I need a divorce attorney. And those events take a certain trajectory, right? First, they start to not get along, or one spouse feels like the other spouse is not present, and that deteriorates over time, and eventually fighting begins, or arguments begin, or one person walks out. They try to repair it, they try to go to therapy, or they resist therapy, and then they try to make it work. They do a trial separation, a trial back together, whatever it is. And this is certainly not my wheelhouse, but there's all these things that happen leading up to the point where they now have decided divorce is the only solution. This is the last step. But what about all those steps before it? Your client has been in pain the entire time. What about all those steps leading up to that? So that's what I want you to start thinking about. Now, you go through and you help your client get divorced. And at the end of the divorce, something has to happen, right? They're not happy because they're divorced. They have to deal with the emotional trauma of having had this marriage end. Now, sometimes it's a very short marriage. There's not a lot of emotion invested in it. There's no kids. And yeah, those people can move on pretty quickly. But what if there are kids? What if there's custody issues? What if they've been in a very long-term relationship? What if it's been 10, 15, 20, 40 years? How do they deal with that emotional trauma? That's the first thing that has to be fixed when they leave. And then if there's custody issues, if there's questions about what do I do with my kids and how do I handle that, that's a whole other can of worms. And what if there's shared assets that are being split, but the sale has to happen, and they need to actually see that through and make sure that each party is not taking advantage of the other. There's all kinds of things that could be left open to be dealt with after a divorce. But when your divorce is finalized, that's when your engagement ends and you walk away. What about all those other issues? What if you can help your client finish solving the problem? What if you can help them get the last part of this solution completed so that they can get to that happy place? What if you can fix that for them? So what if you start looking at this entire client journey, and I can paint this picture with each of the examples, right? Criminal law. So somebody goes in a bad way before they start doing crime, and then even when they start doing crime, there's a while before they get caught. Or maybe they're a repeat offender. They've gotten caught multiple times, and they're not new to this game, but they want out. They want a solution. They want to reform themselves, but they don't have the place to go. They don't have the material to do it. Will some people get reformed if you provided them with that information? Yeah, great. Isn't that our goal? And the ones who are not, you've tried to help them. They see that. Guess who they're coming to the next time that they get arrested? Guess who they're coming to when they need help? So that's the beginning part of the journey, that your client is in pain way before they get arrested. And then even if it's during the arrest, there's stuff that you can do that's above and beyond just representing them to help them with sorting out their life. And, what happens if you now get them that innocent conviction? What happens if they get off of those charges? Now you're done, right? The engagement's over. Now what? What do you do after that? Do you provide support to them if they want to improve their life, if they want to move on, if they want to become better? Are you providing something at the end? So my purpose of bringing all of this out into the open is not actually to make the case for you to create information products in the beginning and the end. We're going to talk about that in future episodes. But when we look at it that way and we see the full picture, it begins to paint the picture for us on what we need to do when it comes to marketing. And I think that as that picture becomes clearer, it becomes more obvious to you as the owner of your firm to know, where should I be investing my time and my effort and my dollars when it comes to my marketing? Where should I be finding this person? At what stage in the journey do I want to be finding them? If I'm not going to provide all these beginning steps, then I want to find them when they're at the point of pain that I'm ready to receive them. In other words, if I'm not going to help people fix their marriages, then I don't want to search for them when they're having marriage trouble. But if I'm able to help them with that, then it helps me to find them earlier in this process, because they don't have to go and look for other attorneys to represent them in divorce when I've been helping them along the way. They know I'm a divorce attorney. They're going to naturally come to me because I've essentially been with them on this journey so far. So the beauty is that once you figure out where you get to insert yourself, once you figure out where is it that we start this journey together, now you can start to identify what do they need? What's the first thing they need to hear? What's the first thing they need to learn? What is the first thing they're going to be asking themselves? They might not even know that they are headed for divorce. They might not even know that that is the eventual end for them if they don't get this resolved today. So you might have to educate your ideal client. You might have to educate the market on what the pain really is. In other words, that pain point could be so bad, but they don't feel it yet. The good example I like to use for this is somebody who has a cancerous tumor in their body. If somebody has a tumor growing in their body and they're not experiencing pain, they don't have symptoms, they have this deadly thing inside of them that is silently growing and silently getting ready to destroy their life. And if it happens to be found on a scan, suddenly, miraculously, their life is saved. But if not, then they could be too far along in the process by the time they find out they have it, and it's too late. There's nothing to salvage. And that is what happens in this case in a marriage, right? And the cancerous tumor is there, but they might not feel the pain. They might not realize it yet. Now, if you could back to our analogy, if you could invent a scanner that hovered over a city and scanned the population and was able to pick out one by one the people who have these tumors growing inside of them, and you could then go to them and say, look, we did a scan and we know that you have this tumor inside of you. Let's bring you in for a deeper scan to actually identify where it is and figure out what the plan of action is to get it out. Wouldn't those people be forever grateful to you for helping them find that, for helping them discover that, for helping them realize that they were in pain, even though they didn't realize it themselves? And wouldn't, if you couldn't solve their problem right then, and they needed to go through chemo and radiation, and that's the kind of doctor that you are, wouldn't they come to you for that because you identified this problem for them in the first place, because you brought it to their attention? They're not going to go look for somebody else. They want you. That is how you need to insert yourself into the discussion. You need to be able to help people identify that they have a problem. In marketing lingo, it's called awareness. It's the awareness stage of the ascension model, where you ascend your customer through your marketing through these steps. Well, the first step is awareness. The client has to be aware that there is a problem in the first place. And sometimes they're deeply and intimately aware of the problem. As a matter of fact, if you wait long enough, they know the problem exists. If you wait long enough, they're in jail. They need help getting out. If you wait long enough, they're ready to get divorced. I need a divorce attorney. If you wait long enough, somebody died. We need an estate planning attorney to do the probate because there's no estate plan. So if you wait long enough, the problem will become apparent. It will rear its ugly head. Eventually, somebody is going to know they have a problem. However, there's so much time and space before that happens where you can make them aware that there is a problem looming, and you can educate them and draw them in as a potential client. And that's the entire concept here that I want you to get from the podcast today, from this episode, is that if you're looking for clients when they actively need you, sure, that's one way to get them. That's one way to identify them. That's one way to bring them into your world. But in today's market, while it's where we are today, a lot of the service side of your business cannot be performed. The courts are not open. The in-person signatures are not a possibility. Adversarial parties can't meet. There's a ton of things that are happening that are preventing you from just doing your job. And it's highlighting the need to move further back in the client's journey, to start to provide the help at the beginning of the journey where you're not at the point where you need to be in court. You're not at the point where you need to sign papers. You're at the point of being able to help them before this problem gets to that point. And that's where this is a perfect time to start to focus on that, to start to identify that, to start to get clear on how that works and how you can find these people, how you can relate to these people, how you can provide help to them through this journey to hopefully avoid and prevent this disaster that they're heading towards. But even if it's not, you can help them through that process. You can help them through this journey. But imagine if instead of needing to find 1 out of 100 people, you could find 20 out of 100, and 19 of those you can help, and one of them you can't, and that one becomes a service client. Now, those other 19 that you helped, you've also been able to make money off of them in that process. You've been able to solve their problem, and you've been able to make money from them. They would have never even been your clients in the first place if they had found the solution elsewhere. Imagine the exponential effect that this can have if your marketing covered a bigger gamut of clients, if you were able to serve a bigger gamut of clients in this process. Imagine how much easier it would be to spend money on marketing if you can increase the value of the spend that you have. If you could find ways to monetize the leads that are coming through, because they're not perfect for the service part of your business, but they're perfect for other pieces that you've developed. So that's the idea that I'm planting in your head. The seed that I'm planting in your head is that there's a bigger picture, that if you're lost in the weeds of running your firm day to day and serving your clients, you're not going to look at the bigger picture, and you're not going to see the huge opportunity and the huge potential that's available to you right now in the marketplace. And it was always there for the taking. It was always there for the picking, but you didn't realize. You didn't bend down and pick it up. There was a $1 bill on the floor. There was a $20 bill on the floor, and you walked right by it because you just didn't see it. You were looking at your phone. You were driving past it. You missed it completely. Well, that time is over, right? I just pointed at the floor and I said, "Look, there's your $20 bill." I just pointed it out to you. You going to pick it up? Of course you are. So I'm going to leave it at this. If you can do one thing, if you can take away one thing from this episode, it's get super, super clear on who you're serving and start to identify what their journey looks like. And once you can figure out where you want to begin the before journey with them, where you want to insert yourself, then you need to start asking questions like, what does their day look like? What does their relationship look like? What does their family member relationship look like? Depending on your practice area, some of this is important and some of it might not be. Where does the person hang out? What do they read? What do they do for fun? And the reason you want to know these questions, you want to answer these questions, is because those are the places that you're going to start inserting your message. Those are the places that you're going to start finding them, and you're going to start providing information to them with the current situation that they're in right now. And you're going to be able to start talking to them in a way where they're going to, when they read your message, whether it's an ad on Facebook or it's a video ad on YouTube or it's a article that you wrote or it's a pay-per-click information return that you're giving back to them, whatever the form is, when they read it, they're gonna say, "Oh my gosh, he or she is talking directly to me. I am so glad that I'm reading this right now. This is exactly what I need." Imagine if you were able to find people like that. That is what this can do. So I encourage you to not just move on to the next episode, but to actually do the work, to sit down and think about this and to start to identify this journey. And I'm telling you that if you get this right, this is going to unlock and unleash a tremendous amount of potential for you in your marketing ability, and really allow you to create a machine where you can predict with accuracy how many leads you're going to get, how many clients you're going to get. And that's where every business owner needs to be. As you grow, you realize that you cannot just hope for the best every month. Hopefully I'll get enough new clients this month. Hopefully I'll get enough new clients next month. We're done with hope. It's time to plan. It's time to be strategic. It's time to really think about this and take steps and actions that are going to be smart and position you to be able to have this kind of predictability and consistency that everybody seeks, yet very few seem to have figured out. And with that, I'm going to end the episode, and I will see you on Thursday for a great interview. But before we go away, if you love this episode, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you're getting the latest episodes on your podcast player. And as always, we would love it if you can rate and review the show. I know it takes a few minutes of your time, and we all are very hard-pressed on time. But let me tell you something. If you rate and review the show, there might be somebody who comes by, reads your rating, reads your review, and is inspired from that to listen to the podcast. And maybe there's something here that inspires them to do something different. Imagine the domino effect that your one review can do to change someone else's life. It's just wild to think about it that way, but that's the reality. You know, when we're searching for anything, We're always looking to see, is this what other people are listening to? Is this what other people are reading? You look at Amazon reviews for a product when you're buying it. You look at Amazon book reviews when you're trying to figure out what book to read. People live off of this crowdsourced information. Is this something worth my time? Is this something worth my effort? And folks, they're going to look at my podcast and see how many reviews I have, and some people are just going to walk away. And that might be the person who needs to hear the show the most. So it's in your hands, my audience, it's in your hands to change that person's life. I'm putting the content out there, but I cannot control that piece of it. That's completely up to you. All right, that's enough said. I will see you guys Thursday. Take care. That's it for this week's episode of Profit with Law. If you have enjoyed the show, please consider sharing it with at least one person. Imagine how many lives we can change if we each shared this episode. Another way to share the episode is on social media. We appreciate your support and look forward to you joining us again next week.